Best evening to our classmates and Professor Vince. We are the Group 4 Legends of BSIE 21. Here to present to you our case study number 2 entitled Mga Hari ng Kalsada, the Environmental Impact of Philippine Traditional Buses, in other words, jeepneys, exhaust smokes on the Earth's atmosphere. Before anything else, may we please request everyone their full undivided attention and silence. I hope you're all ready to lend your ears because the talk is about to start.
Hello everyone, I am Nico, the presenter of the background of the study. To further discuss our study, let's now proceed. Transportation. Transportation is the movement of what? It is the movement of humans, animals, and goods from one location to another. Transportation is a fundamental sector in the country that bridges the population and economic centers across the islands. Because of the country's environment, land transportation is the most essential mode. Next is water, then air. Next part. Traditional jeepneys. Despite the insufficiency of transportation statistics, traditional jeepneys is still the prominent mode of public transportation in the Philippines. Why? Because it is ubiquitous and it is even named the unofficial national vehicle under the Philippine National Symbols Act of 2014. Isn't it amazing? Haha. Anyways, they began as wheelie jeeps left behind by American troops when they departed the Philippines at the end of World War II. Filipinos repurposed them as buses made with galvanized or stainless steel frames, fabric covers in place of side windows, and longitudinally placed benches. There are 5 types of jeepneys, but let's focus to the traditional ones, which refers to the first and second generation vehicles. Next. On the other hand, air is fundamentally what we need to live. Hence, it should be priority when it comes to sustainability and worldwide issues. Significant contributors to air pollution includes emissions from vehicles, industry, and power plants, as well as methane and other gases from landfills and animal agriculture. The release of heat-trapping air pollution perpetuates a positive feedback loop that further increases the concentration of greenhouse gases in our atmosphere. According to a survey by the World Health Organization, poor air quality causes 2.2 million of the world's 7 million premature deaths. They also emphasized that air pollution has been one of the most serious public health issues in the Philippines, with 45.3 deaths per 100,000 people, the third highest rate in the world. This is really bad, guys. What do you think? Anyway, next. In relation, traditional jeepneys, no matter how essential a public transportation they are, also threatens the environment because of the harmful content released by its exhaust smoke, largely if it is substantial black smoke and especially during heavy traffic. The forceful expulsion of thick, black smoke from an exhaust system is known as smoke belching. It is especially prevalent in National Capital Region or NCR, largely from public utility vehicles, considering it is the most crowded region and the business capital of the country. The foremost cause of this is due to incompletely burned fuel or excessive fuel sprayed on an engine, also known as air-to-fuel ratio imbalance. Next. As reported by the Department of Transportation, more than 70% of these emissions emerge from mobile sources such as vehicles, jeepneys, and buses we utilize to travel to and from work every day, as opposed to stationary sources such as building or facility that emits air pollution, exemplifying that the existing transportation sector is a consequential contributor to pollution in the atmosphere. This is strongly evident during the 2020 Enhanced Community Quarantine or ECQ, where the absence of public commuting leads to clearer and smog-free skylines. Next, the renowned jeepney, which is seen on the street of Metro Manila nonstop, is accountable for approximately 17% of ambient air pollution. The smoke-belching jeepneys that ply Manila's congested street 24 hours a day have been criticized for clogging the roads, exacerbating the city's traffic problems, and polluting the environment. The Department of Transportation analysis shows that 255 vehicles had been inspected with 122 belching smoke, 130 having faulty parts and accessories, and 2 drivers not dressed properly. The Clean Air Act of 1999 mandates the Department of Transportation and Land Transportation Office to implement emission standards for motor vehicles. LTO, aside from Assistant Secretary Edgar C. Galvante, announced that they will revisit the law and cite relevant provision to intensify the implementation, and launching a Facebook page for filing complaints against smoke belching, and no further actions had been taken. Next, the figures below highlight the growing concern of smoke belching among traditional jeepneys. I guess that's the end of my reporting. But before that, I am leaving a quote that says, "Ang problema ng bayan ay dapat aksyonan. Maghanap ng sugar daddy upang buhay ay bumuti." Kidding aside, once again, I am Nico, the presenter of the background of the study. Okay, Jerome, the stage is now yours.
Thank you, Nico. Hi, I'm Jerome and I will be defining the problem in our case study. Philippines ranked 70th as the world's most air-polluted country in 2020. 70% of air pollution in Metro Manila came from motor vehicles and 20% from stationary sources, such as factories and sewage systems. Public utility jeepneys contributes to air pollution in Metro Manila, having 55,000 registered jeepneys. Jeepneys produce significant amounts of nitrogen oxide, carbon monoxide, and other pollutants, especially those without proper and regular maintenance. Carbon monoxide is formed by the combustion of fossil fuels. Poor maintenance affects parts of a vehicle, resulting in more exhaust emissions called smoke belching. According to Climate Change Commissioner Harrison Alvarez in the 2013 Sustainable Summit in New Delhi, more than 500,000 diesel-fueled jeepneys, buses, trucks, and other vehicles in Metro Manila are responsible for about 70% of the total soot or black carbon emissions in the Philippines. Alvarez also reported that public utility vehicles, mostly jeepneys, produce 22,000 metric tons of soot emissions per year in the country. He further noted that air pollution costs the Philippine economy some $1.5 billion annually, in large due to diesel vehicles. He also said that the World Bank estimates that some 5,000 annual premature deaths make up to 12% of all deaths in Metro Manila, the highest of any region in the Philippines, due primarily to respiratory and cardiovascular diseases from exposure to air pollution. Smoke belching traditional jeepneys worsen air pollution, contributing to global warming, the outcome of high emission of carbon monoxide and methane. As the planet undergoes an increase in temperature, climatic cycles are disturbed and accelerated violently, also affecting glaciers, hastening its melting that causes sea level to rise. Smog effect is a dark fog which is consequence of a highly concentrated load of pollutants that are classified as sulfurous smog and photochemical smog, which are both dangerous and harmful to health. The poor air quality increases respiratory health problems like asthma and bronchitis, heightens the risk of life-threatening conditions like cancer, and burdens our healthcare system with substantial medical costs. The next presenter will be Lorraine.
Thank you, Jerome. Now that the problem has been defined, I, Lorraine Bonita, will discuss the possible solutions to this smoke issue. Please note that no matter the perspective we try to look at it, there will always be one sector that is somehow negatively affected. So, we will focus our solutions for the positive effect on air quality alone, instead of the business side of things. In line we came up with 6 solutions. First is the Public Vehicle Modernization or PUVM program. Second, retrofitting diesel engines to meet with Euro 4 emissions compliance. Third, jeepney transportation privatization. Fourth, mandatory implementation of work from home or WFH setup and eco-friendly commuting policies. Fifth is the minimum fare increase. And sixth, stronger anti-smoke belching campaign. Let's proceed to the first one, which is Public Vehicle Modernization or PUVM program. Isa sa naging Clean Air Act resolution ng gobyerno ay ang i-promote ang electric jeepneys, e-jeeps for short, as early as March 1, 2012 pa lang. Then, in 2018, inintroduce naman nila ang Euro 4 diesel jeepneys. These new jeeps are collectively known as modernized jeeps. Pero ang PUVM program ay hindi lang nakafocus sa pagre-regulate ng jeeps older than 15 years, kundi pati na sa mga buses at iba pang public vehicles. Why? Dahil makakatulong ito na mag-increase ng urban quality of life, mag-minimize ng economic losses due to travel time wasted, mag-reduce ng health costs and premature deaths, mag-reduce ng greenhouse gas or GHG pollution, at mag-improve ng operators and industries' economic condition. Para sa environmental impacts nitong program, ayon kay Red Constantino na siyang Director of Climate Policy at Institute for Climate and Sustainable Cities or ICSC, each e-jeep releases less than 62 kilograms of carbon dioxide exhaust emission per day. Ang mga Euro 4 diesel jeepneys naman, when compared to Euro 2 diesels of traditional jeepneys, gives emission differences of 0.5 gram per kilometer in carbon dioxide emission, 0.40 gram per kilometer in hydrocarbons and nitrogen oxides, at 0.775 gram per kilometer difference in particulate matter. But the downside of this solution is that sa study ni Agaton CB, na published book na ngayon, it was found na negative $1,470 per vehicle ang nasisave ng e-jeeps, kumpara sa positive $928 per vehicle ng Euro 4 diesel jeeps when it comes to GHG emissions. So, sinasabi nito na switching to electric jeepneys would not reduce GHG emissions dahil sa current energy climate natin. Dagdag pa rito, many, if not most, jeepney drivers and owners are against this program due to their poor financial savings. Gusto kasi ng gobyerno i-execute ang old jeepney phase-out to switch to modern ones. Kaso, hindi afford ng mga jeep owners ang bumili ng bago. According to Margarvida, the national president of the pinag-isang samahan ng mga chuper at operator nationwide or PISTON, magkano lang ang kinikita ng mga driver at operators? Ang average daily na kita nila ay 2,000 pesos. Bawasan mo ng 1,000 para sa gas. Tapos 800 pesos para sa boundary system. 400 pa para sa maintenance. Ang matitira na lang sa araw-araw nilang kita ay around 288 to 348 pesos. That kind of money would barely even make them throughout the day for survival. Lalo na sa sitwasyon ngayon. Tapos magkano ang presyo ng mga modern jeep? 1.4 million to 1.6 million. Kahit sabihin pang may mga pa-loan ang gobyerno, butas na ang bulsa ng buong pamilya bago pa man maibalik ang pera at matagalang tagutom pa. Maganda sana ang projection ng benefits for this program, pero hindi nito na-take into consideration ang worsening traffic, therefore lower income, at yung impact ng COVID-19 in survival and economic decline. Second option is retrofitting diesel engines to meet with Euro 4 emissions compliance. Ang Administrative Order No. 2015-04, also known as Euro 4 Emissions Compliance, ni Department of Environmental and Natural Resources ay nagre-require sa mga sasakyan na gumamit ng clean fuel at nagset rin ito ng new emission standards which is known as Euro 4. Meaning, kailangang mag-employ ng mga oil industry or automotive manufacturers ng mga Euro 4 engines, equipments, or electric vehicles. But, what is diesel retrofitting? Well, The term retrofit covers various technologies and activities na nagre-reduce ng emissions from older engines, vehicles, and equipment. Malawak ito na term for options na nagre-reduce ng emissions. Maaaring process ito of converting combustion engine vehicle into electric one, or upgrading older diesel emissions filters or catalysts into your Euro 4 and above. For example, in the case of French organization called Transition 1, an electric engine, batteries, and a connected dashboard were added into older models of Fiat Chrysler automobiles, NV, and Volkswagen AG, and iba pa, for approximately 8,500 euros or 490,000 pesos. Hindi hamak na mas mura kumpara sa milyon ng PUVM. Ang proseso ng retrofitting ay depende sa vehicle. Pero two options dito ay ang pag-install ng diesel particulate filter or DPF at selective catalytic reduction or SCR systems. Pero as of now, wala pang regulation na naisiset para sa retrofitting procedures sa mga jeepneys. Next solution is jeepney transportation privatization. Nakuha namin itong idea from the fact na ang LRT ay dating public transportation system, pero ngayon, jointly operated na siya by the Light Rail Transit Authority or LRTA, a government corporation attached to the DOTR, and the Light Rail Manila Corporation or LRMC, which is a group of three major private infrastructure companies. And in 2015, LRMC started a 32-year concession for the operation and maintenance of Line 1 and the construction of a 65 billion extension project to Bacoor, Cavite. So, imagine yung laki ng ginagastos for LRT maintenance nung hinandle siya ng LRMC. With this idea, what if yung DOTR and jeepney transport cooperatives, what if they cooperated together and pool resources to fund for the improvement and even modernization of this public transport? Possibly, diba? But as of now though, there is no one central body for the jeepney transport cooperatives. Thus, no central money that can be pulled from them. As you can see on the picture on the right, maraming accredited transport cooperatives, 1,483 nationwide pa nga. Kaso, maliliit na kooperatiba lang ang mga yan. So, saan sila kukuha ng maibibigay na funds? At anong private companies ang pwede nilang makasama sa joint operation? So, next, we also thought of mandatory implementation of work from home, WFH setup, and eco-friendly commuting policies. In 2020, Environmental Management Bureau of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources reported that the air quality in Metro Manila was cleaner during the enhanced community quarantine. Sinasabi na dahil ito sa reduced human activities, suspended public transportation, and decreased number of vehicles on major roads. Base sa Air Quality Index or AQI, Metro Manila experienced an 86% reduction in vehicle volume during the ECQ. Dahil dito, ang recorded emissions sa NCR is as low as 32,000 particulates in 2020 kumpara sa 241,000 particulates in 2018. Ngayon, syempre, hindi pwedeng tigil trabaho pa rin tayo since it would strain our economy. So, what if mag-implement ng mandatory WFH setup para sa mga employees na nagtatrabaho outside the work vicinity? On the other hand, people within their work area can simply commute to and from it using eco-friendly commuting like bikes and e-vehicles. Next naman na option is to increase minimum fare. This is more of an indirect solution to the smoke issue. By increasing the minimum fare, direktang maapektuhan ang finance ng drivers and owners. And by securing higher savings, there is a shorter time to pay for modernized jeepneys, and therefore, switching or upgrading to cleaner and safer vehicles will be achieved sooner than later. Then again, it will take a long time to achieve the environmental goal since challenging pa rin ang situation ng mga drivers or operators. So, mas uunahin nila ang survival versus their environmental concern, di ba? Finally, our last solution is to enforce stronger anti-smoke belching campaign. Section 46 of Republic Act 8749 or the Philippine Clean Air Act of 1999 ay nagre-require sa mga smoke-belching vehicles to undergo emission testing by enforcement teams from the DOTC or LTO or deputized agents, as you can see on the picture on the right. May multa ang violators na 1,000 pesos for first offense, 3,000 pesos for second offense, and 5,000 pesos with a seminar on pollution management for third offense. Pero noong 2016, si Quezon City 5th District Representative Alfred Vargas ay nag-propose ng amendment sa Section 46 na ito. Ang dahilan niya ay pwede namang i-assume na ang mga drivers ng smoke belching vehicles ay mga empleyado lang ng mga owners. Therefore, they do not necessarily have the proper means and control over major repairs of the vehicles. So, his amendment is to penalize only the owners of violating vehicles so that they will be forced to repair and maintain their jeepneys. Unfortunately, the amendment is yet to be approved. Plus, there are unreliable enforcement teams that is not stationed properly. Halimbawa, dito sa Muntinlupa, maraming mga smoke-belching vehicles kami nakikita. And yet, walang nakabantay sa national road para matest sila. So, yon. Next up is Gwen Batatas.
I am Gwen Batatas. On this part, I'm gonna summarize the case. So far, nalaman natin na jeepneys or jeeps are originally from Americans. They are later customized to Filipinos' preferences. The decorations depict our culture. These vehicles are also known for its crowded seating noong wala pang pandemic and hindi pa required ang social distancing. Traveling via jeepneys is the main mode of transportation, especially around Metro Manila na madaming sanga-sangang daan at kalsada at maraming passengers na in need of fast and affordable transportation. However, sumabay sa pagdami ng jeepneys ang paglala ng air pollution sa environment natin. Those that do not go through regular maintenance and inspection brings more negative effects such as global warming and respiratory illnesses. So, the following solutions are formulated. Isinulong ang paggamit ng e-jeepneys ay mga jeep na gumagamit ng electricity and paggamit ng Euro 4 diesel jeepneys. In short, the Public Vehicle Modernization Program. Dami nga lang hindi sumang-ayon with mga drivers and operators dahil kulang sa pera. This dilemma we thought would be solved through increasing the minimum fare, though it can be considered to be more of an indirect solution to air pollution. We also have the engine retrofitting. This requires the switching of vehicle parts into more environmentally friendly ones. Magdadagdag ng electric parts or magkakaroon ng upgrade sa diesel engines ng jeepneys. Modernizing the whole vehicle na rin. Transportation privatization can be part of the solution as well. In line, more government funding and proper allocation for retrofitting research in the country, as well as stricter campaigns against smoke belching or use of damaging fuels will solve the environmental issues. In this situation, during the pandemic where the economy is constrained, another solution is more likely. The mandatory work from home will minimize the use of jeepneys and ipapang vehicle, which will result to the reduction of air pollution. Another effect of this is the promotion of using eco-friendly type of transportation, biking or other electric-powered vehicles. Researchers have proven the said effects. Now, let's move on to the next part, the recommendations and implementation plans to be reported by Ms. Rolion.
Hello everyone, I'm Denise and I'm presenting the recommendations and implementation plans. The proponents of the study conclude that between PUVM program and diesel retrofitting, the latter solution is more feasible due to a lower price on changing parts of the vehicle. There is a two-step recommendation and implementation plan regarding the policy to reduce the harmful smoke emissions of jeepneys. Number 1. Short-term plan while in the new normal. It is known that while there was an economic bottleneck in 2020 due to lockdown, the air became clearer. But with the resumption of work by 2021, the smog and pollutants are gradually overcoming the air once more. All the while, there is low to non-financial security among the majority of Filipinos. Following is how the various sectors could cooperate. The government, effectuating mandatory work-from-home setup law for employees living outside their work zone, whereas eco-friendly vehicles such as bikes and e-vehicles will be used for those who are within at most 32 kilometers from their workplace. By putting this into effect, local companies can provide support with needed equipment for employees living outside their work zone. Number 2. Long-term plan after the pandemic. Retrofitting traditional jeepneys is more affordable to jeepney owners than buying new ones and is also in compliance with Euro 4 emissions. Increasing minimum fare will also aid in jeepney modernization. The government. Proper allocation of research funds for retrofitting will depend on the government. It is recommended that budget allocation be held with utmost transparency to comply with the Clean Air Act. When retrofitting research is a success at a significant level, a law should be made to jeepneys that are still using Euro 2 to Euro 3 diesel, which requires undergoing retrofitting. All the while, minimum fare increase should be put to effect to accommodate financial savings of jeepney drivers and owners, especially with the load of unstable income during pandemic crushing their emergency money rates. And enhanced enforcement of anti-smoke belching or use of damaging fuels should also be followed to ensure everyone abides by the plan. Researchers and engineers. Considering that Philippines is behind other countries with Euro diesel compliance, researchers will need to find a suitable regulation for retrofitting procedures with regards to technical and certification elements. And lastly, jeepney owners. As stated, there are two ways to retrofit. First is the diesel particulate filter or DPF, which traps the solid soot particles including the ultrafine particles. Diesels from 2011 or later have a DPF fitted, but it can also be retrofitted into older models. However, technologies to reduce nitrogen oxide emissions have been broadly introduced later on. And the second one is the selective catalytic reduction or SCR system, which work by adding ammonia, in which either in the form of AdBlue, a liquid nitrogen oxide reducing agent, or directly as a gas using cartridges to exhaust gases. This then reacts in a catalytic converter with the nitrogen oxides coming from the diesel engine to release harmless nitrogen and water vapor at the tailpipe. And that is all for our presentation. If you have any questions or ideas to share, please feel free to do so. Thank you for listening and God bless.